Tron Heroes of the Grid was probably the biggest failure I've ever seen from a Haslab. And it makes me wonder a little bit, is this just a sign that the Tron franchise is dead? I don't know. I don't really understand Hasbro's thinking, because shortly after they announced this Haslab, which, if I remember correctly, are 3/4 inch scale figures. So they're not your traditional 6-inch figures that are like scale with like Marvel Legends or Black Series or Classified, for example. But the price point on this is $259.99, which seems like a lot. That's almost $300. And in this economy, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little high. They wanted 10,000 backers. As of recording this episode, which is a Saturday, November 8th, they only have 1,126 backers with only 16 days left. It's not happening. And they have, and I don't know. I mean, I guess you could say, did Tron Ares fail at the box office? I don't know. I thought it was a fine movie. I enjoyed it, and whether or not Disney felt it was profitable, if the general fan base or general audience in general thought it was good or not, I don't really know. I mean, but when I go back and think about, like, oh, they released a Haslab at the end of the summer into the fall, in line with the release of the movie, which is good, because then that would get people to watch it, or people watch the movie, then they go want to buy the toys. But you're giving us 3/4 inch figures, you're giving us 5 figures, and these figures are from the first Tron movie, and you're getting 2 bikes, which look cool, but look extremely cheaply made. They have no lights or sound or anything, they're just 2 little shells that like kind of clammed together. You can 3D print that. And a display stand with some LED lights, and that's it. And it's like, are you serious, Hasbro? Like this, and then on top of that, I think it was New York Comic Con. Then they announced that they are doing a Tron Ares line of 6-inch figures that are going to be coming out probably 2026, if even now, with possibly Ares failing at the box office, so Disney might pull the plug and they may never come out. But they're 6-inch figures, and they're planning on selling them at least, on the website. So I consider that retail level, even though when a lot of people, when you say retail, you think, oh, is it going to Walmart, Target? Is there anything else? I mean, I guess Walgreens. I don't think there's any other stores, really. I mean, Toys R Us is coming back, which I didn't really write any notes about Toys R Us coming back, because I'll wait and see. We'll wait and see after this holiday season, because I heard Toys R Us coming back last year and the year before that, and both times it was a very weak comeback, But apparently the people owning it now, they want to bring it back full swing. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I used to work at Toys R Us like years and years ago, and it was my favorite job. It was my favorite place I worked at. And if they were to bring Toys R Us were to open up in my area, I would get a job there. I would switch from where I'm working now, and I would go work for Toys R Us. I would do it, even for less pay, because it's just, I always just thought it was really, really great place to work. But I guess it depends. Are they bringing, depends on how they're doing it, I mean, I don't know. But I guess you can go to toysrus.com and buy stuff now. So that's a cool thing, no. But otherwise, when it comes to big box stores going like the actual physical locations, you have Walmart, Target, and it gets Walgreens tends to get toys. And then, of course, with the online space, you do have Amazon, Hasbro Pulse, and then you have a string of other like online retail stores. I won't go on to listing them. But it makes me wonder, like, what they were thinking. Like, let's go ahead and release a Haslab for a 3/4 inch line, but we're going to Haslab it. And I don't understand, like, if they had just made this, they should have just made this, like, we're just going to sell this. Like, they could have easily sold the figures for like $15, $16 a piece. They could have sold like one figure with one of the bikes for like, say, $39.99, or they could have sold the bikes as a 2-pack. And they could have done like, they could have easily sold like, maybe like the display stand and like maybe an exclusive figure and like maybe a bike or something for like $65. Or even like $120, maybe not $120, but maybe around $60. I think people would have bought it for $60, and this would have sold. I'd have bought them. I mean, maybe not the display stand, because I don't care that too much about the display stand, but the figures, I'd have bought the figures, the cycles, I'd have bought those. So the fact that they felt, oh well, this isn't gonna sell, so let's just Haslab, because the whole point of Haslab was for them to do something that they couldn't release at retail level. And here's what's crazy. So they did the Proton Pack, right? Which Mr. J got, and I was going to get one. But then, like a year later, 2 years later, they're releasing it as a retail level. I mean, yeah, sure, it might not have some of the bells and whistles, you know? And it may not come with, like, the stickers or, like, some of the, like, the slime and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's a Proton Pack. I mean, so that's got to piss off people. I haven't really heard anybody talk about it, but I don't know, man. That would piss me off. That would really piss me off if I had backed that and then they turn around and just sell it at a regular price, because all the extra stuff you got, you didn't really need. I don't really need that, you know, and I haven't really decided to pull the trigger yet on buying the new Proton Pack, because I also know that it doesn't come with the wand, and they don't even have the wand listed anymore. And so it's one of those things like if I'm gonna buy it, I need to buy the wand with it. So we got off on a little tangent there, but because I'm looking at the Hasbro website right now, and I was just like, oh yeah, the Haslab thing. But so I'm gonna wrap up the Haslab thing. It was a big waste of time. The whole Haslab thing was supposed to be something that they could never produce and make a profit on at retail level. And yet I feel like the last couple Haslabs they have done has been like, you could have released that at retail level. Like, even the last Haslab that I had purchased was the Ghostbuster set, and that was like an instant, like, I think that was almost an instant back. And it probably could have sold at retail level, or at least in parts, but maybe not to the degree of what they were giving. But even with that said, I still feel like it was, I don't know. I just feel like this Tron thing could have sold at retail level at a decent price, and they could have made their money from it. Now they've done this, and then that just tells them, oh, people don't want this. No, I think people do want this. People really do want this Tron, these maybe not 3/4 inch, maybe they want, like, 6-inch figures. But I think people want these, but not as a Haslab, and not at $260 plus tax, plus probably tariff surcharge and stuff like that. And speaking of that, let's talk about Hasbro's price increases. And I first noticed it at Walmart. Walmart, with their new digital tags, was very, very quick to up the pricing. And I actually, because I wanted to make sure I had the information before I started spilling my guts here and say something wrong. But so we're going to go over the pricing, the new price hike. Now, here's the thing. Way back in early summer, when I think it was like something about the tariffs going up to like 30% or something like that, like they were on hold. They held it off for a moment, and they said, okay, in this day it's going to go up to 30%. And Hasbro came out and they said, if you pre-order something before this date, then you will get it for that price. Like, we won't increase the price on you, right? So when they did that, I was like, oh man, I really wanted to get that, Scorponok from War for Cybertron. And I was like, I've been waiting and was like holding off on it. And I was like, you know what? If they raise the price of those, and they've already raised them once before to, like, from, I think, $159, I think is what they were, $169, I think is what they were, or something like that. And then they raised them up to like $199, so $200. And so I was like, I anything over $200, I'm not paying that, because at that point I'm just gonna get a third party figure. I'm not gonna pay that price for a Titan figure. So I was like that, and then there was like 3 other figures that I pre-ordered with it. Funny enough, all 3 of those figures, minus the Scorponoks, I ended up canceling because they showed up in the store while they were still on pre-order from Haspulse. And I'm just like, okay, and I understand how distribution works and how sometimes a retail store can get something in stock way before it's still available to be purchased off a website. Especially Hasbro's website, like Pulse, should be first in stock before Walmart or Target. They should be first in stock. There should not be this, like, it should not be stuff sitting here saying pre-order when it's sitting on the shelves at a Walmart and Target and a Walgreens. Like, that's ridiculous. So I don't know if the tariff prices or the tariff increases really affected, like, Hasbro's decision to raise their prices, and they raise their prices across the board. And let's go over them here. So Voyager class is now $42.99, up from $34.99. The deluxe class is $27.99 from originally $24.99. Leader class figures are now $59.99 from originally $54.99. And then Commander class are now $99.99, up from $89.99. The retro figures, which for those of you who don't know what the retro figures are, those are the figures that are basically like generation toys, but they're G1 and they are in a kind of like a retro packaging from like kind of how they do like the Marvel Legends, like with the retro card back, but it's like it looks like like how the G1 package looked like, but it's not in the box. It's the backing. Those are now $27.99, and originally they were $24.99. Now those are new, but I couldn't really find the data, but I do remember that Voyager class figures used to be $24.99. Deluxe class figures used to be $19.95, and leader class figures, if I remember correctly, they were like $45, and then Commander class figures were $79.99, and then the other one that I forgot to mention were Titan class, which is currently right now holding at $199.99, which is what I paid for my War for Cybertron Scorponok. Now, mind you, probably 2017, 2018, I purchased Metroplex for $159 at Toys R Us. I also purchased a Trypticon for $150. So yeah, I think they originally were $150, like about $150, $160. So that's kind of crazy when you really dive into it and you think about it. And what's also crazy is that, like, you know, I kind of collect, you know, the crossover stuff, not all of it, but I kind of collect like what I like, you know. So like I got like the Echo one, the DeLorean. I just recently picked up the Naruto crossover. I do have the Top Gun one, and just because I think that it's a cool plane. It's a cool plane. I'm not a huge fan of the movie, but it's a cool plane. I haven't purchased the Knight Rider yet, but I don't think I'm going to now because they have it listed for $42.99 now. It's on pre-order, but originally it was $34, and I'm just like, okay. And they just announced, I actually think it's either in stock or on pre-order, but the Stranger Things crossover, the van. And I don't know what scale it's supposed to be because I got it listed at $57.99. Just for those who are wondering, Black Series, Marvel Legends, and Joe's, like both classified and retro, they have all been affected by this price increase. They all have gone up from $24.99 to $27.99. And the only thing that hasn't been affected is Power Rangers. They do still sell Lightning Collection stuff on Hasbro Pulse, but most of it's just like clearance, like it's on sale. And then Ghostbusters, it's still sitting at like most of their figures are still sitting at like $14. So I haven't really noticed any kind of like price increase on those brands. I can't speak for Nerf because I don't really purchase Nerf, so I couldn't tell you if like Nerf has gone up in price, but I'm sure it has. I'm sure the prices of Nerf. And the thing is, like with Transformers, Black Series, Marvel Legends, and G.I. Joe, they all within the same kind of like scale, and since I kind of hold the same price point and stuff. But here's the thing, and I made a little note about this, but here's the thing. I can understand if Black Series, Marvel Legends, and go up in price every year, or go up a little bit in price every year, or every couple years, because Hasbro has to pay a licensing fee. So every time that they sell a Darth Vader, part of that money goes to Disney. Same thing with Marvel. So what their initial profit, and the funny thing is like it's a business, right? They have to continue making money for a number of reasons. And a lot of people are like, well, the shareholders, they only care about the shareholders. Yes, that's true. And I do feel like the whole system needs to get reformed, that they need to fix businesses from only caring about the shareholders and how much money they're getting. Because at the end of the day, they're cutting like, oh, well, we need to pay workers more money. So we're going to pay the workers from $10 an hour to $15 an hour. Okay, cool. But now we're making less profit now because we have to spend that money to pay our workers. So we're just going to raise the prices. We're going to raise the prices so that we can keep our profit margins high. Because our shareholders don't like the fact that, oh, last year I made $100,000 off my stock, This year, I'm only making $90,000 on my stock. Why is that? Oh, because you started paying your workers more money, so that came out of my profit. I don't like that. Well, I shouldn't be making less money. I should be making more money. I want to make more money than I made last year. And so, okay, so they have to raise prices, to keep. That's just corporate America for you. That's just how it works. And it's unfortunate because us as collectors are in that sector where we're not getting paid enough money. And now you have to ask yourself, are we gonna buy a new toy that's now twice the price it was 6 years ago? Yeah, it's like 2018. Yeah, 2018. Like, here's a good example, right? So they re-released Run Amok. Now, Run Amok is a War for Cybertron figure. Now, that figure was probably originally released somewhere around 2017. In 2017. Deluxe figures were $19.99. They have re-released that figure in the same retro packaging. They haven't done nothing new to it. It comes with the same accessories, and now it sells for $27.99. Almost $10 more. Almost $10 more than its original sales price. And what's weird is that on Hasbro's website, like, they have unfortunately for Devastator, I ended up having to pay $27 for Scavenger instead of paying the regular $24.99. Now, here's the thing. If you announce, hey, we're going to do a price increase, any new figures that you make an announcement for and you announce them at this price point, they should stay at that price point. So, like, let's say I announce X figure, and X figure I announce at $24.99, pre-order up for $24.99. And then the company says, hey, we're going to raise prices. Okay, cool. And then you turn around and then you raise that price to $27.99. Now, I don't know the people who pre-ordered that. Maybe they got locked in at that $24.99. But any new pre-orders are now $27.99. It should, anything new, price-wise, should only affect new product that has not been announced yet. So if you had a Commander class figure that you normally would have released at $89.99, but you hadn't announced it yet, and now you see the price increase. When you announce it, you should just announce it at $99 at the new price point. But the fact that they have older figures on the website, they have older figures that were originally at a certain price are now at the newer price, but not all of them. Because some of the figures, like some of the Transformer 1 figures and like the Devastation figures that have not been selling all that great, they still have listed at $24.99. Like the Devastation Optimus Prime, which is cool and all, but he's just too small. Like he's a little small for my taste. He's still selling it. Now here's what's funny. Hasbro still has it up for $24.99. Walmart raised it up to $27. Target raised it up to $27. So I find that hilarious. But you have like, I think Silverbolt is listed right now at $89.99 still. So you can still get it at $89.99. But then they listed Ultra Magnus from the Studio Series figure. I would argue that Ultra Magnus is more sought after figure than Silverbolt, because Silverbolt requires you to buy 4 deluxes at originally the $24.99 price, now the $27.99 price, because all of those have been raised up in price. But then you still have some figures that were released at the same time at $24.99. But that Commander class Ultra Magnus is now at $99.99. I'm so glad I was able to get him at $89.99. The point I'm trying to make is that Hasbro's price increase does not make any sense, and I don't know if tariffs had anything to do with that. And what's funny and what's crazy about this, and like I've had conversations about this before, if Hasbro were to turn around, like say somehow they figured out the tariff thing and the tariffs go away, or I mean, here's the thing: tariffs have always existed. They've always existed. It's not a new thing. The difference is it wasn't so high. It was minuscule. It was very low, where like most companies didn't even notice it. Now 35 to 125% tariff, like that's not fair, because the whole point of the tariffs, or at least how they market it to people, not to get too political, but they marketed it, say, hey, these people are selling this product, so the people that are sending it over have to pay that price, right? But then a lot of places are like, I'm not paying that 30%. Like, they pay the 30% to get the product, but then they turn around and raise the price, so that price gets passed. So anytime there's some kind of price increase or price change like that, or there's additional fees, like, that's passed on to the consumer. It's passed on to me. So Hasbro probably could sell their deluxe class figures at $19.99 still. They probably could, but they're not going to make as much profit. So on top of that, they're eating the high tariffs, so they're losing money. They're not making as much profit now because of high cost of production now, high cost of like tariffs of importing it into the United States, and then on top of that, their shareholders are demanding to make more money, and their shareholders like we need to make more money. How do we make more money? Well, we only make more money by increasing the pricing. And what's crazy, as I was talking about earlier, what's crazy about Transformers is an in-house IP. Hasbro owns it. They own Transformers. They are partnered with Takara. They are partnered with Takara. So Takara mostly focuses on high premium figures like the Shattered Glass stuff, the Masterpiece line, anything that's not considered like the Generations line, even though some of that stuff falls in the Generation line, but that's what they do, or like the MPG line, that's what Takara does, where Hasbro does, the more cheaper stuff, right? But they do work with designs and stuff like that with Takara. It's like because Takara is Japan, and they're the ones that own Diaclone and all that, and then Hasbro owns Transformers because that's an IP that was copyrighted in the United States. But anyways, Hasbro does not have to charge these prices, and now maybe somebody is an economist or somebody might go, no, you don't understand. They have to charge $42.99 because their cost of production and the tariffs is making it where they can't sell it at $19.99 anymore because they're selling it at a loss. And if they continue selling at a loss like that, the company will go under. And they won't make any money because they got to be able to pay their employees and stuff like that. So I understand that. Here's the thing. I understand that if you want to make more money, if you want to make more money hourly, a company out there has to pay that to you. That company that you're working for is selling something, and in order for them to have money to invest in their company, to invest into you, and to be able to pay you more money, they have to make more money. That either happens by selling more product or increasing the price of said product selling. I would argue that everything Hasbro's been selling, I would love to know what their numbers are. Like, how many deluxe class figures did they sell last year versus the year before? Now, granted, every year is different because some years you have more deluxes available than other years. But also you have multiple lines of a figure that spans multiple years. So, you could get, for about a year after their release, the Stunticons. So those are deluxes you could still buy from Hasbro, or Walmart, so it just comes down to like prices have to increase a little bit because they're paying their workers, they're paying everything, they're paying more money to all their workers and services that they provide, like the truckers that drive the trucks, their company has to pay them more money because they're 2% or 3% increase in raises every year. But then now they have to make up that money somehow, and so they have to charge more money for their services. That's just how it works. The problem is that the rate that prices are going up, the quality of the figures versus what the price is versus what people are making are not matching up. As when they raised the price, when I saw the prices go up in the store, I was disappointed. I was like, well, I guess I won't be collecting that Bruticus. I guess I won't bothering doing that Bruticus because Vortex I got at $24.99, currently listed on Hasbro's website now for $27. So based off of what I know, I think Swindle and Brawn are going to be Voyagers. So now those are going to be $42.99, not $34. Now granted, they were never available for $34 because they're not out yet. Blastoff is now going to be $27.99 when he comes out. All right, and because of how they're doing these combiners, Onslaught is going to be $100. Now, just think about this for a second. Hasbro's Onslaught is going to be $99.99. It's going to be $100. Do you know how much the New Age Onslaught cost? $120. $135. So for $35 more, you're getting a Masterpiece figure. Now, granted, Vortex costs me $125 versus $27. So you're talking about a whole $100 more. But when you're looking at a single figure, Now, granted, what did Onslaught come with? Oh, he just came with the chest piece. He came with a chest piece, not the chest insert, but just the shield part and his gun for like $130. And the Commander class Onslaught from Hasbro is probably going to come with the entire skeleton to combine the whole thing. You know, so the price distribution's but I'm just saying, but like that's crazy when you think about a Chug figure almost costing as much as a third-party figure of the same character. You know, at a different, and it's a different scale. We're talking masterpiece scale versus the Chug line, which is, I don't know what their scale is supposed to be for that, but I just find it really, really crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just not buying these anymore. Like as of right now, as I talked about last week when I was working on my display and everything, I ended up packing away basically all my Chug figures. Like my 86 figures got packed away, and my Studio Series movie line stuff got all packed away. I'm not selling them, but you know, when I get a new place, you know, I'm planning on having them displayed on separate shelves, you know, their own little section of shelves, you know, because I'll have more space to do that versus what I have now. But that being said, a lot of the newer Studio Series movie line figures, like the Q, looks terrible. You know, the last year or two, a lot of the figures have just been crap. I'm just like, yeah, like, well, I don't really need this figure. I mean, the character wasn't really that big a deal to me in the movie, so I don't need it. I'm glad that like what I want, like I'm satisfied with my Studio Series collection of the movie line. You know, I've got pretty much everybody that I'd want to get. The only characters that I don't have that I'd probably want to have would be like Jazz, Ironhide, and Ratchet, because I missed out on those. And then at the time, I didn't really have the money to get the pack. And then I also, it's like, I don't really want to buy that pack because I already have Bumblebee and I already have Prime. And I was like, oh no, I think I do have Jazz. I think I do. But I was just like, I don't know if I really, I would rather them just re-release them. But again, I think those are both Voyager class figures, so they'd be released at $42.99. But I'd be okay with that because the aftermarket prices for those characters figures are ridiculous, especially Ironhide. It's ridiculous. But I'm okay. I'm also okay with not having them because I have the originals. I have the original 2007 Ironhide, Ratchet, and Jazz. I have those figures, so if I really like wanted to put them in as a stand-in, I could do that. But what I have planned for my Studio Series display when I movie display for a Studio Series when I move, I have like a plan. So a lot of the figures that I have, I won't really need. So I would say that my Studio Series movie line is complete. Like, I have collected, like, you know, I have all the Rise of the Beast figures that I wanted, except for Scourge. I got a KO one, but I mean, you know, I never saw, we'll get into KOs later, but I never saw the original to buy it. Yes, I did buy the Optimus Prime KO that came out, but I finally got the official one that came out, and I own that one too. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I just think that these new price points, and with Age of the Primes being like the most lackluster set, and I don't know, I think it's mainly because like the Primes, I don't know any of them. You know, I got Megatronus. I thought it was a cool design, and I know who that character is, so I bought Megatronus. That's it. And then, you know, I bought the Aerobots. That's it. That's all I bought. And I bought Vortex because I saw it, and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe it looks cool. I'll buy Vortex. You know, I'll do Bruticus too. But now I'm not paying these prices for those characters. I'm just not. I'm not going to do it. You know, I've already kind of ticked off. I had to pay $27 for Scavenger when like a month prior to that, he was $24.99, but he was sold out everywhere. And then they raised the prices and, oh, look at that. Now he's in stock. Like, that's ridiculous. But I digress. I just think the whole price increase thing is kind of crappy. And so I think that's it. Yeah. And then like my 86 line. Yeah. I mean, you know, I got Thundercracker on pre-order. I think I pre-ordered it $34.99. It might be $42. I don't know. But yeah. And then Windblade. And then, you know, I would like to have a Wheeljack, but I was going to get the Devastation one. You know, I did a whole video thing on that thinking it was the Studio Series one. And yeah, he's $27 now too. And I'm just like, but otherwise I have everybody. You know, the only person I didn't buy was Blur, but I can still get Blur on Amazon for his original price that he came out with. And so, but otherwise, I have the old Kingdom Galvatron mold. I have the Kingdom Cyclonus mold, and I think I even heard that they were going to be doing an updated version. But you know what? I'm good. I think for the most part, there's the Soundwave. I'm not gonna pre-order it. I'm not gonna worry about it. It's one of those things that if I happen to see it in the store, and I'm gonna look at it, and I'll tell you at that point if I'm worth spending the money for it. The spending, because I think it's a leader class, so it's gonna be $60. So it's one of those things. Maybe, and who knows? Maybe Hasbro will lower the prices. Like they'll say, hey, we can lower the prices again. I don't know, but I just think that right now with Transformers, with there not being any like a real media out there, I think there's Earthspark, but I think Earthspark might have ended. There's no movies coming out. There's no movies on the horizon. I know there's a talk of that Transformers G.I. Joe crossover, which I'm not all that interested in. I don't really want a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. I'm sorry. I just want to just give me a Transformers show. Give me a Transformers TV show, and give me a toy line to go along with it. And I might buy the toys if the show's good enough. War for Cybertron I thought was really good, and you capped it at like 3 shows, 3 seasons. And it was a recreation of G1 and a different direction, and it integrated Beast Wars, and I feel like that could have really became something special if they had just given them another season or 2, because they were short, like 8 episode seasons, which is like the normal now for seasons, for shows, 8 episodes a season, which is ridiculous to me. Long gone are the days of having 26 episodes a season. Those are long gone now. But I just feel like Hasbro is drowning Transformers into the ground. And it's ridiculous because it's their own IP. They don't have to ask anybody, can we do this? They can just do it. They don't have to send an email to Disney or whatever and say, hey, yeah, we have this idea for this line. We'd like to do it. Or we have this idea for a TV show with this line. Would you like? No, we're not doing that. Hasbro can just do whatever they want with Transformers. And they're handling it very poorly. They're doing a poor job. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I would love it if somebody bought Transformers from Hasbro. Like, it would nothing in the world would make me feel happier if another toy company like Mattel or even who's another one, even like McFarlane would do it. But God, I can't even think of any other toy company that's not freaking owned by Hasbro. I think the biggest problem, and it's like a whole other discussion, but I do feel like toy companies, that there needs to be more competition. And it's the same thing with the movie studios. Like, you have Disney owning everybody now, and so there's no competition. There's nobody competing. And I feel like the toy industry is falling into the same crack where there needs to be more companies, and it's hard because you have these companies with so much money and so much power and pull that a little company starting up, they can't get off the ground. They can't get licensing they can't afford to buy a Marvel license or a Star Wars license to make toys. Nobody's out there trying to make new IPs. Like back in the 80s, oh man, it was like all the kinds of things. Nobody's trying to make something new. They're just redoing all the old stuff. Playmates does a fantastic job, because I just remember who was like thinking, who owns Ninja Turtles? Who makes Playmates? Playmates is its own company. They're not owned by anybody yet. But I think Playmates could do a fantastic job with Transformers. I would love it if they had Transformers. Like, I feel like Hasbro at this point should just license it out. They should just stop making Transformers altogether and just let somebody else do it. Because they're clearly their own in-house brand. They don't know what they're doing with it. They don't have a clue. But that's just my opinion. Okay, let's get off of that and let's move on to what did I get this week. So this week, I don't remember if I talked about the Missing Link RC or not, but I did get the one from Show Z Store that I pre-ordered. And the only reason I pre-ordered it, and the one I got from Show Z Store, was the cartoon colors. And the only reason I pre-ordered it from them was at the time when I was trying to pre-order it from Hasbro, like the website kept airing out. And I was like, what the hell? So I just pre-ordered it on Show Z Store. And then I was like, I don't need to have the prototype version. I was like, I just need one. But then like as time came around, I was like, you know what? This is a prototype figure I always thought there was an RC toy. I always thought there was a G1 RC toy. There wasn't. There was never. They had a prototype, but they never released it. They never did a G1 RC. and the prototype is the version they would have released. So I was like, you know what, I should get it. So I ended up going, and I was like, it was a sold out, or they had pre-orders were closed on Hasbro's website, but they were available to buy on Big Back Toy Stores, so I just ordered it. Speaking of that, the reason why I ordered it on there too is because they have this like really nice thing where you can do like pile of loot, so you can ship a bunch of things at one time for their shipping price instead of like multiple times. Because I'd also purchased, because I was looking at the Tron stuff, I was like, well, someone had to make Tron. Well, Diamond Select had made some Tron stuff, so I ended up getting the two main characters from the original Tron movie, Tron and Flint. I bought. They're also on clearance too, so I paid like pennies on the dollar. I think I paid less. I think I paid like $50 for both of them. So I got those, and they were sitting in my loot. And then I was like, you know what? I'll get the Missing Link RC, and then I purchased it, and then I just had them send them all at one time. So it cost me $4 to ship it all versus spending $8 if I had shipped it twice. So didn't actually receive it yet, but I did start another fan home, and I did the Iron Man, and right now I just finished building part 60. Now, yes, I thought about building these, but I don't really have a good setup for that, and I didn't think anybody would be interested in watching me build it, and I struggled in the first couple ones. Were like, kind of struggled, but I was like, okay, Iron Man's not really the theme of I don't know if it would go very well. But I also, because I'm a big World of Warcraft fan, so I also bought the Optimus Prime. That is what I pre-ordered. That is what I bought, was the Optimus Prime from the first movie. But I also doing the Lich King one too. So yeah, I'm kind of happy, So I got the Fan Home Prime that I ordered, and I'll be getting the first box probably later this month. I will probably do a series on that one because it is Transformers related and stuff like that. So, and the other thing that I purchased finally was I got the Power Rangers Reignited Yellow Ranger. Finally was available on Walmart.com, so I ordered it. I ended up getting the Pink Ranger, I think, in a Target, so I was like excited about that. They do have a 7-pack, sorry, at Target that has all 6 Rangers plus has Goldar. And I was like, yeah, but I already have all the Rangers, and they're the Automorph Rangers. Mind you, this is the Automorph version, not the other one. I thought about buying that Power Ranger pack, but I was like, I don't really need to because I have the 6 Ranger. I have the not Lightning collection. I have the original Power Ranger figures from Saban in the boxes still, like the Build-A-Figure set, with the green and the white Ranger. I have that set in the box. So I was like, I don't need to buy another set of Rangers. Like I'm good. I'm good when it comes to Power Rangers. So I got that. So I'm excited for that. I don't have my display up for those Rangers yet, but I need to work on that display. I think that's it that I purchased that I got. I did get blades. I don't know if I talked about that. Maybe I'll just talk about it now. So I did get blades. I was really worried about the transformation, but after watching like 2 or 3 different videos, because there's no instructions. You have to watch their video, and their video makes it look like a nightmare, which is why I was dreading it. Because I do want a set of Prectobots. I do want a Defensor. So I was like, well, I went in on this set, and yeah, I could have gone on with the MMC version, but the MMC version's tiny. Like, it's not MP scale. So it doesn't scale. It won't scale with my figures. I mean, probably scale with the Chug collection, but then they're too nice to scale with that because they're in their own lane, which is cool. They're in their own lane doing their own thing, but I'm not going to buy your product because that's not the scale I'm collecting. So, I mean, if they were sitting on their own shelf, because some people do that. I've seen a lot of people do that where they display certain figures, like a whole team on one shelf. I tend to mix it up a little bit sometimes. Like right now I have a diorama planned idea to have like a club scene. And I'll have one of the, probably like my CDL RC, like on a pole, like she's she's a stripper, like she's on a stripping stage, and then like I was gonna have the protective bots, which I think would be funny because they're police, fire rescue, ambulance, stuff like that, like at a strip club kind of thing. That's an idea for a diorama that I haven't done any planning on those yet, but like there's ideas in my head that I thought, So yeah, so the blades, it's fine. I got them in robot mode right now. The legs are a little clunky. Trying to pop those off, it's really clunky. I don't like the way they did that. They could have easily had a release button, or I feel like they could have just done it where they didn't have to take the legs off. But I understand the legs have to come off because the parts forming piece, it has to split So I mean, I get why it splits. I feel like the split could have been done better. But it is X Transbots, and thankfully nothing on it was like, I felt nothing was gonna break on it. Thankfully. But yeah, I still have on the way, I do have Blast Off from Magic Square still on the way. I did transform all of my other Combaticons into their combined modes, and I have Vortex in my hand right now. And here's the funny thing. So Vortex came with the chest plate piece that attaches to Onslaught that had the arm connector. So we could have easily seen that this was not going to be good. And I'm not going to get into it today. I have a video plan about it on the main channel on MajinPlanet.com. But I don't think anybody else really combined them together, because you can't you don't have, like, you're missing the hands and the pants still. Those all come with Blast Off. But Blast Off probably be here sometime next week, hopefully. But yeah, so that's coming. I also, and here's where the things are gonna get kind of spicy. I did purchase Acoustic Wave. I shouldn't call it Acoustic Wave because it's not Acoustic Wave. It's the Fan Toys one. I bought the KO version, and I also bought the KO version sound. I bought the Dark of the Moon Soundwave. Now you're probably gonna be screaming, You should support Fan Toys. You should support New Age. This is ridiculous. Here's the thing. I have been watching Acoustic Wave on multiple websites for the last 8 or so months, and it's been sold out. And the cheapest I could find it before the tariffs increase was about $170. I think it was $165 at one point, but I'm okay with paying $175. Fans Toys almost never does reissues. So it's Fans Toys. It's a really old figure now. It's like a 3-year-old figure now, if not longer than that. I saw it one time on Show Z Store, but I didn't really have the funds to buy it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted that one, because I was also looking at the Masterpiece version, and then I was like, well, what if somebody comes out with a new one? And I hadn't really decided yet if I even wanted a Masterpiece Soundwave in my collection, because I hadn't committed yet to that, because I had kind of made a decision, an impromptu decision, that I was going to stop collecting Masterpiece G1 altogether, and either just okay, what I had I was going to keep and kind of use as this is I'm going to mess around with stuff. So it's it's on a display, but it's not part of my main display. And I shifted to Legends because I could get more on the shelf with I could have more on the shelf. I'm not saying one single shelf, but I could have more with the less space that I had. That being said, a lot of that has changed since then, since a year ago, almost a year and a half ago now. And so when I was okay, I got my Skywarp, and I was should I get should I get the Masterpiece Skywarp or not Skywarp, Thundercracker? So I have Skywarp and Starscream, because I was okay, I have a Sandstorm, but the Sandstorm's probably gonna get moved. He's kind of standing in right now. But I was okay, I want to have this is my definitive Masterpiece shelf for Decepticons. I was okay, the Seekers, Megatron, Shockwave, Soundwave, and then that shelf's done. That shelf's done. That's all I want. That's all I need. And I haven't gotten to Shockwave yet, but I've been now Soundwave. Now it's sold out. Okay, cool. Now it's sold out now. So I've been just watching. And then of course I was you know what? I'll look at eBay. Maybe there's one on eBay. I can get one loose. I don't see any loose ones. Maybe my search is not right, but I did search Fan Toys Acoustic Wave. Found a plethora of people trying to resell theirs. A lot of them pre-owned, a lot of them listed as new, so as never opened or never used. The cheapest I found for a inbox new was $199.49. Now you might go, well, that's not too bad. I mean, that's not really that much of an increase from the $175. So $25 more for having to wait. For waiting 4 years to get it. Not a huge increase. I would do that. I would definitely do that. But their shipping. The shipping is when I was I'm not buying this. Their shipping is $130. And I contacted the seller. I was hey, why is your shipping so much? Well, when they're in China, so they didn't respond right away. Then they just said tariffs. That's all they said, tariffs. Well, okay, cool. So you want me to buy the figure almost basically twice? No. Not doing that. The cheapest I could find pre-owned was $260 with a shipping cost of $32. Again, if you want to throw that kind of money at something like that for a figure that's old, an older figure design, just because you want Soundwave, then by all means do that. I will wait. You know what? At that point, I will just buy the MPG one. Now, I looked at the MPG one. I don't know. Like, I just don't like it. Like, it looks dull to me. It looks. I saw like some people comparing it to like the original Soundwave masterpiece, and they're like, it looks about the same. It looks like they haven't done any engineering changing. It looks like it's basically just a reissue with some paint sticker, like different paint, like it's cartoon colors. And considering that most of the MPG line so far has been nothing but just the same old, I'm like, you know what? I was like, man. So I just happened to be browsing TF Safari, and I was like, oh, they have Acoustic Wave on here. And I was like, oh, they actually have it for $80. I was like, what? And then, of course, I think it was 80 or 90. Of course, it's KO. Oh, it's the KO version. Okay, that's why it's so cheap. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? Screw it. You know, it's my collection. If you want to hate on me for buying a KO of a third-party figure, then by all means, you can judge me. You can judge me on that. You can go ahead and judge me. It's fine. But here's the thing. Oh, and I did find another one for $330. But here's the thing. Let me explain something to you. Should I be forced to pay a high price of an aftermarket? Should I be forced to pay a high aftermarket price for a third-party figure that, by all account, is IP theft? Okay. Yes, Fans Toys Acoustic Wave is not a 1-to-1 of the indie scale Soundwave. Some would argue that it's an improvement. It's an upgrade. It is an upgrade. I don't know about the tapes. I heard different stories about the tapes, that the MP tapes are better, but it only comes with one tape, and it's not a big deal to me. Yes, the Fans Toys Acoustic Wave looks almost the same as the MP Soundwave because it's the same design. It's the same character, so the design, yes, is going to look the same. No, Fans Toys does not own the character, and they do not own that design. Now that's a two-way street, because they do own the design. The person who designed that Acoustic Wave, the person who designed that Soundwave, sold it to Fans Toys, and Fans Toys then hired an engineer to engineer it. The engineering, I will argue, Fans Toys does technically own that, or the engineer who engineered that, whether it's the engineer or the designer is the same person, I don't know. They technically own that engineering, because Hasbro and Takara cannot technically copyright an engineering aspect. You know, you hear it all the time from reviewers that say, oh, Combiner Wars it. Oh, it looks like they're combining the legs. Now, yes, Hasbro came up with that. Do they own that? No, they do not. They do not own that design. They do not own that aspect. Okay? As far as I'm aware, they don't. But what Fans Toys does not own, they do not own the likeness of Soundwave. And you can argue, yeah, it's called Acoustic Wave. It's not called Soundwave. But here's the thing. And you look at that, if a grandma or somebody who's not in tune with like the community was to see them both side by side, they'd probably pick the Acoustic Wave over the MP because it looks better. And so they're going to buy that one. So every single time somebody, and I'm guilty of it too. We're all guilty of it. All of us that collect third-party figures, we're all guilty of this. Every single time you go on to TF Source or go to Show Z Store or TF Safari, or you go to Bombshell, I think it's Bombshell is how it's pronounced, or if you go to Nick the Toy Guy, I know he sells mainly Fans Toys. I was gonna buy the Thomas on there. I was looking at it for days, and then it said it was sold out, and I was like, crap, it's sold out now. Oh well. He does have a blur on there that I've been looking at, but I was like, it really doesn't fit what I want right now. But my point is like that every single time they sell one of these figures, they are committing an IP theft. They are committing IP theft. Every time I log on to Show Z Store or TF Safari and I purchase the latest New Age Bumblebee, the latest this Combaticon set, okay? Even though Takara has never done a combiner other than the trains, they haven't. I looked it up. I was like, have they ever done the Combaticons, Defensor, the Aerobots, the Constructicons? They have never done a G1 combiner. So technically, there are no MP scale of these figures. They don't exist other than third party. So in retrospect, third party, if you're an MP collector, because that was the whole point of third party in the first place, that they were filling the gaps, like with the chug line. They were making characters and figures that Hasbro and Takara was not making. And then they dived into Masterpiece, and then they left Chug behind. But my point is that if I'm an MP collector right now, if I'm collecting MP and I'm only collecting officials, so right now I'm collecting MPG because that's the only people making Masterpiece figures for Transformers, right? Because I'm not buying Fans Toys, I'm not buying X Transpots, I'm not buying New Age, I'm not buying Magic Square. That's IP theft. They're stealing from Hasbro. They're stealing from Takara. I will not support that. That is a legit argument. That is a 100% legit argument. But you're never going to have Bruticus. You're never going to have Defensor. You're never going to have Superion. Heck, you're definitely not going to have Computron. That's for damn sure. You know, you're not going to have Abomination. You're not going to have any of those. Because Takara's never going to make them. Takara has been making Masterpiece now for what, 20 years? Over 20 years? No. MP01, which was the very first Transformer Masterpiece, was released in 2003 in Japan. 2003. That was a long time ago, guys. That's 22 years ago. In 22 years, Takara has never attempted to make Vortex. They have never attempted to make Scrapper. They have never attempted to make Hotspot. Never. Not even on the radar. So third party, while they are stealing the IP of Transformers from Takara and Hasbro, they are filling the gap of a collection that will never be fulfilled. But Soundwave has been made by Takara. So technically, every single person out there who has bought a third-party Soundwave, whether it be a Legend scale or a Masterpiece scale or a Chugline figure, doesn't matter if it's G1 or if it's Transformers Prime or Transformers Animated or whatever, you have stolen from Takara. You have stolen from... That is money that you could have... Now, granted, some of these characters, I don't know if Hasbro ever made a Prime Soundwave from Prime. I don't know. But I think you guys understand my point. So, now here's the thing, too. I'm not going to pretend that I have a real Fans Toys acoustic wave. I've had people go, oh, that's a cool... that's a cool... I have the MP36 KO of Megatron. A lot of people are okay with that because I guess the original had a lot of paint chipping. Now, again, same issue. I was looking at I'm not paying $650. I'm not paying $700 for a freaking Megatron, MP scale Megatron. I'm good. And I haven't seen anybody make I haven't seen any third-party companies make I haven't seen any of them make one. I mean, yeah, there's some Legend scale ones and some like Chugline size figure ones, but I couldn't find any third-party G1 Megatrons. I couldn't, not at MP scale anyways. I couldn't find any. And that might be because the MP36 was so good, so there's no need for it. Nobody decided to do it. But when people see it, I don't call it MP36. I say, oh, that's my KO Megatron. Oh, it's based off the MP36 mold. It's a one-to-one replication, but I don't call it that. Just like when people see my Soundwave, and they go, oh, that's a really cool Soundwave. So yeah, it's just a KO. Oh, what's this a KO of? Oh, it's a Fans Toys acoustic wave, but it's just a KO. That's just how I am. When I got my Studio Series Rise of the Beast Prime, I didn't call it that. I was like, oh yeah, I got the KO Prime for now until I can get the official one, and I got the official one. And guess what? I swapped it. I still have the KO. It just kind of floats around my house, But that's my point. I'm not going to pretend like it's the official. Now, if I ever see a Fans Toys acoustic wave at a decent price point, I will definitely pick it up. Because then that'd be interesting to be able to look at them, say which one is was the KO made better or the KO made worse, I think that'd be cool. The other one, like I said, New Age, Dark of the Mood, it's XM01 Mishra, I think it's how it's pronounced, from New Age. Now, that sucks because I love New Age. My entire Legends collection is all New Age. I could have gone Magic Square, but I ended up going New Age just because I think the first one I bought was the Megatron because I wanted a little Megatron to play with at my desk. And then I also got the Galvatron, which I think is a clear version of him. And so I just decided, and then I found out, oh, the New Age and Magic Square scales are not the same. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to mix the scales up, so I just went all New Age. Just went in all in on New Age. And Magic Square, it's funny because like my collection right now has basically gone all New Age for Legends and Magic Square for Masterpiece. But I've been collecting more X-Trans bots because Magic Square hasn't, like, you know, they done Bruticus, you know, and they got their Prime, you know, but then my entire movie line is all DX9 / unique toys. But what's funny is I do have the Carry, which is their stylized G1 Rodimus Prime, but that's from DX9. And I also have Red Alert, which is the DX9 version. And right now is a stand-in because I wanted to see how it would look, and I got it relatively cheap. I got Prowl and I got Hot Rod. I got the MP KOs, and you know I'm hoping to replace the Hot Rod if they ever come up with another Hot Rod, or if I actually find the official one at a decent price, I'll like swap it. And then like there's a couple options for MP Prowl third party wise that's on the horizon that I've got. I think I got the DX9 one on pre-order right now, so that'll swap out for that, you know. But you get what I'm saying though, like it's a stand-in. You know, I'm not pretending like it's the official thing. But like for the example, the Mishra, man, it sucks because I looked it up. I was like, okay, I want to get this one, sold out. Okay, cool. I go to Show Z Store, they don't even have it listed anymore. I look at TF Source, sold out. I go to eBay. I found one listing on eBay. Of it. $216, right? But it said sold 16, one left, and they had it on sale for $131. I tried to buy it, and every time I tried to buy it, it would say air. And I assumed the reason why I said air is because somebody's already purchased it, or somebody else has it in their cart. And that was a week ago. Like, yeah, that was because I bought these on the 4th, right? So yeah, it was the 4th or 5th I purchased them. So today I went and looked, and it's still available. But when I clicked on to buy, it still says air. So I don't know. It is what it is, you know. Like nobody's selling this figure, and I don't see a Dark of the Moon Soundwave on the horizon by anybody to make anytime soon. Now what sucks about this KO is he doesn't come with Ravage or Laserbeak figures, which is fine. I'm like, it's whatever, not a big deal if they don't come with them. But you know, yeah, I searched for it, I couldn't find it, and then like most of the searchings I found brought up the KO, and I think that New Age one was made a couple years ago, so it's probably either didn't sell very well and they didn't make very many of them, and nobody's reselling them, or I don't know. But so it kind of sucks. But let me ask you guys a question, because I want this character for my MP collection. Yeah, sure, I have the Studio Series one, and I could put that on there, but it doesn't scale. It's not even close. The scale is bad. Is it wrong of me to buy a figure, a KO of a third party figure that is no longer available to buy at the MSRP price? It's not available anymore. They're not being made anymore. I can only buy it on the aftermarket. Is it wrong to buy a KO of that? Is it wrong? Do you let me know? Do you guys think it's wrong to buy a KO of a third party figure that is no longer being made, that's no longer available? Because I think it's a little different. And you know, it's my fault. My collection at the time didn't call for it. You know, I was collecting Studio Series, and that was my movie bots. And you know, my movie collection was just like, oh, you know, like I saw the review of Nero from Bobby Skullface. You know, you guys can check him out on Patreon and stuff like that. He's a really, really cool guy and stuff like that. And I saw his review, and I was like, I want that figure. And I bought it, and it's an amazing figure. And then I saw the Challenger, and I was like, oh my god, I want the Challenger. And it was hard to get the Challenger, but eventually it came back into stock, and I was able to buy it. Yeah, I didn't get the extra headlights and all that stuff from the original release, but I didn't really care about all that. And then I was like, cool, you know, I got that, you know. And then I bought their Dino. I love that figure, cool figure. And then I bought, you know, and then I had the Bumblebee MP I bought at Toys R Us, and I also bought the Optimus Prime, which I did a video on too years and years ago, MP. And I was like, man, like I just realized that I'm actually building a MP scale movie shelf. So I was like, okay, well, I need Dragoon. Well, he sold out. Oh, there's a KO. Nah, it's Unique Toys. They'll eventually re-release it because I've seen them re-release Challenger at least 3 or 4 times. It's been re-released at least 3 times since I purchased mine. So I was like, I'll just wait, and boom, I waited months, and boom, I saw it, purchased it. So I got it. Yeah, it didn't come with the little base. I don't need the base. It wouldn't fit on the shelf with the base anyways. So yeah, I'm just like, and then I was like, right now I have the oversized KO. I think it's based off the Masterpiece Ironhide. Mine broke the minute I got it. It broke. It's a KO. I could have contacted Show Z Store and be like, hey, can I get a replacement part? I don't care. I could fix it. I just haven't fixed it yet. I haven't seen an Ironhide, like third party. I haven't seen any. Nobody's tackled that character that I've been able to see. So it's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? It's cool. I got the character. It's whatever. Again, I don't pretend like it's the real one. It's a knockoff. It's a somewhat better knockoff. It's not really because it's kind of flimsy. But also, I heard the original was really bad too. So it's just kind of like, I guess, the design. It's the design. But is it my fault though? Is it my fault that that I have to buy that? Otherwise, I can't have it then. So then then it's not okay. So then I can't have it. I can't have that figure because I can't buy the KO. But again, if you're buying third party, you are basically participating in IP theft. So let's not pretend here that we're not. Every single person out there who has a full shelf of Masterpiece scale G1 Transformers or movie bots, or if you have Legends, it's all IP theft. You didn't buy them from Hasbro. You didn't buy it from Takara. Takara could turn around and say nope, and they could cease and desist everybody, like New Age, Magic Square, Unique Toys. I mean, hell, Zeta Toys. I had another thing I mentioned. I forgot. Well, maybe I'll talk about it when I actually get it, or maybe next week we'll talk about another figure that I actually have coming, but it's a Zeta figure. But they could turn around and they can cease and desist all of them. They don't even have to go after those companies. They could cease and desist. They could easily find out which factories are producing these things and send them a cease and desist. Stop making these figures, or we're gonna shut you down. They could easily do that. They haven't. I don't know why they haven't done it. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. I know it's a very controversial topic with KOs. I think if you are buying a KO, I think if a figure is available, like I'll give you, okay, we'll get a good example here. See if we can find a good example. Okay, so Magic Square Blast Off, or even better, here's a better one. Fans Toys and Bandit, they're dead end. You can buy it right now for $370, but it also comes with the combiner parts. It comes with the trailer for Minosaur, or it's Minosaur. But it comes with a trailer. Let's say some random company gets one. Either somehow gets the mold or reverse engineers it, right? And they KO it, they knock it off, and they post it up they release it on the same website you can buy the official. You can buy sometimes the KOs, and they put it up. You can buy it right now, and they put it up, and they call it kind of the same, like Fans Toys, FT Bandit improved. They say improved like they fixed the issues, and they're selling it for $150. If I were to turn around and buy that, but I could buy air quoting the official version, which would be the Fans Toy version. So that's where it comes down to. So all the KOs that I have purchased have all been figures that the officials or the originals are not available at MSRP anymore, or they're not available at a decent price. Now, the only one exception to that would be the KO, the Studio Series 86 Prime. But here's the thing about that. I already own the Studio Series 86 Prime. I bought that a year ago, okay? The only reason I opted to pre-order the knockoff version, because the knockoff version comes with the Starscream stuff. Like, the episode where Starscream was disguised as Optimus Prime. So it comes with that. And it also comes with the Skybound, like, Megatron arm, which, again, Hasbro's releasing another one with that mold. I don't know if it's coming with a trailer. I don't know what the price on that's going to be yet. But that's not why I was buying it. I was buying it because of Starscream parts. Now, granted, yeah, I don't know if somebody did an upgrade kit for it that has those pieces, but is buying an upgrade kit any different than buying just the KO version that has the extra pieces? Like, is it really any different? Because the upgrade kit's going to cost like $50, $60. The figure costs $60. So if there's an upgrade kit, I would rather just buy this KO that comes with the parts that I want, that I can use on the official, or I can just have, hey, I have another 86 Optimus Prime that looks like Starscream somewhere else. You know, I understand the whole argument, but as I said, let's move on. As of this recording, it's my birthday. It is my birthday weekend. Or my birthday week is the weekend, because I've kind of started trying to record episodes on Saturday and then release them, you know, on MajinPlanet.com for registered members on Monday, and then goes public on Friday. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I've been on vacation since Saturday, and like, you know, it's a long day. It's a long weekend from Saturday. I was off October 31st, and I don't go back to work until the 10th. That's a long time, but it just seems really short. Because, and the funny thing about it is that one of the points of me taking this time off was, other than getting stuff in order and relaxing and stuff, was to start sorting my Magic collection, coming up with a system. And for the most part, I kind of figured out how I want to do it, but how I want to do it, there's no way I can put this stuff in folders. And as I was like kind of doing it, I realized putting them in folders is just not ideal. It's not ideal at all. And how I'm planning on doing it. This is how I'm planning on doing it. So, I mean, I don't play Magic as much anymore. I haven't played at all for a while. But I would like to get back into playing Magic. And I did buy some of the new Spider-Man stuff, which is still sitting in their boxes. Because, like, I'm not going to open it. Because then it's just more cards I got to go through. But I want to have a core collection. And basically, my core collection is going to be like one of every card. And then after that, I'm going to have my bulk collection. And the bulk collection is basically going to have two of everything. It's going to have 2 full sets of everything. So it's 8 cards each. And I'm not going to worry about like sets. So so as long as I have 8 disenchants, it doesn't matter what set they come from. Whereas in my core collection, I might have 12 different disenchants because they're from every, like I might have the original, I might alpha, a beta, 4th edition, a 5th edition, beatdown box, you know, collector's edition box. Like my core collection might have multiples of the same card, but different from different sets. Whereas in my bulk, I'm only going to have 8, and I'm not going to have 8 from this set, from this set, from this set. It'll just be 8. So it'll be like my whatever artwork I like the most, those are the 8. And then everything else was going to go into like a sell box, like this is just like a box that's used for trade or sell or whatever. Because the idea is that even if in my bulk, if I end up using up all 8 of a set and I need more, I can either go into my sell, or I can just buy more. I'll probably just buy more. Like if like, oh man, you know, I need 4 more disenchants, I'll just buy them. So the idea is like in my core set, like those cards, once they're put, so the core collection will probably go into binders. Right now I have those 9-pocket side loaders, but they're in the sealed ones, like those Ultra Pro ones. And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, but I want to have like all the white. I want to like do it by like I want to break it down to like instances, sorceries, creatures, enchantments, creatures, and stuff like that. And then each category is broken down by mana cost. I found that to be the easiest way to do it. Instead of alphabetizing it, I don't like alphabetizing it. I like to look at mana cost a little bit better. Mana cost kind of alphabetizes it a little bit too. But like if I use those binders, I either have to like, okay, this one binder can only be white, you know, so then I have all these empty pages. So I haven't decided on what kind of. I do know I want to go side loaders because I like side loaders better than top loaders. I feel like top loaders ruin cards more than side loaders, but I think I need to go the folders where I can replace sleeves, so I can add a sleeve in. And I feel like once I think for right now I'm going to do my core collection and put them in a box, and then once I got through everything, then I can say, okay, now I can say I want to put my core collection in folders, because the idea is that when people come over, they want to look at my collection, they can go boom, and they can look at my collection and go through it and go, oh, that's cool. Oh, you have this? And then they say, oh, do you have any more of this card? I can then go, let me look, and then I can check my bulk and go, yeah, I have 2 sets, or I have a play set. in my bulk, and then I can sell or trade it at that point, or I can go, okay, then I can check my rest of my stuff, and yeah, I do have extras I can sell or trade or whatever. Because like right now I'm going to use, I think mana box is what I'm going to use because like as I'm sorting, I want to also scan them in too, so that I'm not having to do it like twice. So I want to scan everything in as I go too. So then I'm going to have two sections. I'm going to have my core collection, which is 1 copy of everything, and then the bulk collection, which is going to be 8 copies of everything. So every card I scan, I'll have 8 copies, and I'll just go boom, 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 boom. The problem with that is that I'm having issues with mana box. Is that like if I have the same card like in the row, like I have 5 of the row, but they're all different editions. When I'm scanning it, it doesn't recognize it. It go, oh, like Boomerang, like Mirage, cool. It scans it. But then if I throw like a 7th edition in there next Boomerang, it doesn't recognize it. It just says it's another Boomerang. So I have to figure out how to get around that. The other thing that I'm kind of like bugged about is how to do my rares. Like in my foils, like in my core collection, it doesn't too much matter because I have 1 copy of every rare in there too. And I'm not really worried about keeping them separate from commons and uncommons. But in the bulk collection, what I'm thinking is like storing like between commons, and then rares. And I think foils I'm going to keep as a separate collection, and I haven't figured that part out yet. But I do know for like bulk and extra, they're going to go in boxes. Depending on how bad my core is, that might be in boxes too. But I think once I get it all organized, I want to at least do the first 5 years of Magic. So like we were talking about Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, Revise, Fallen Empire, Alliance, Ice Age, Homelands, Arabian Nights, all go in a binder. Because those are just like, that's like vintage Magic. I would consider those all vintage. And then another binder would be like Mirage, Visions, like basically like before they start adding the mana or the rarity symbol where you can see like this is the rarest common uncommon. All before that, I just want to have all that in a binder because that's stuff I'm never gonna touch again. Kind of the idea for that, but I haven't really figured it out yet, guys. But yeah, if you guys want to send me any questions or comments to this episode or past episodes or just something in general, you can email me at webmaster@MajinPlanet.com. For those who want to spell it, it's MajinPlanet.com. So yeah, like I said before, my goal is to record on Saturdays, so you guys get early access on MajinPlanet.com on Monday, and then everybody else gets it on Friday. So yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. This has been episode 9 of the Majin Cast, and until next time.